we are the ones to awake the sight and spirit of power. Not Negroid or African. Egyptian mummies' DNA and their neighbors prove their ancestry. Fact or fantasy? Read it in the news. Scientists finally answers critics. The proof shocks us but excites many others. There it is. You can see Mail Online. It says the Minoans were Caucasian. DNA debunks long-standing theory that Europe's first advanced culture was from Africa. It goes on to say British archaeologists who in 1900 discovered the Minoan culture believed they were from Libya or Egypt. The Minoan civilization arose on Crete in the 27th century BCE and flourished until the 15th century BCE. You can see the other headline there in the papers, which says that ancient Egyptians were more European than African. Groundbreaking DNA research on mummies reveals. You can see the mummies here. You can see their hair is blonde. You can see it's blonde. So it is quite clear, therefore, that the supposed mummies that we thought were Africans are actually not Africans. Irish DNA originated in Middle East and Eastern Europe. It says genome analysis shows mass migration of Stone Age farmers from Fertile Crescents and Bronze Age settlers from Eastern Europe was foundation of Celtic population. So the African and the Negroid ancient Egyptian ancestry is debunked. We continue with the Daily Mail there. It says, we've got the same mummy. Up to 70% of British men are related to the Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamen. A Swiss company reconstructs King Tut's DNA profile from Discovery Channel documentary. Results show he belonged to the haplogroup common to half of the Western European men. You can see him there. He's Tutankhamen. 2017 there. Tutankhamen, you see his image there, the mummy. And now this is the reconstructed mummy by our computers and technology. However, these claims were disputed by fellow geneticists. Why, if science provides the truth, do we have others dispute it? Pamsoroi mazimambo eduekare tiripa hondo. Viewers are informed in advance that today's post may contain images and the car of our deceased ancestors. Please bear with us. Thank you. We are to ask anybody or go on Google and try to find the racial identity of ancient Egyptians. Their answers or our answers is telling. Over 90% will know. But their answer was drilled into them from year zero to PhD and confirmed by Hollywood and cartoons and movies and books that continuously claim that the ancient Egyptians were whitey. There they are. These are the modern descendants of the original ancient Egyptians. You can see that they are really Africoid. Is this true? Is this a fact? How do we know this? Where did these people come from? Are they autochthonous in in Egypt? Inevitability of Egyptian mummies. This is what we have been told, that the mummies have spoken. The mummies have proved. You look now here. This is Rameses, whom we call Ramesses, his original name. See, he has a round face, dolly Sephardic face. Big nose, not sharp or pointed. Thick lips, bull lips, and a round face. And this is the mummy of Rameses. Look at that. You can get this from the website that I have shown there. Fantastic website. So bull lips, white nose, drop jaws. This is an African, proper, true, and fair. We don't know yet about his genetics, but we see him clearly, straightforward. We are not blind. Then we see this mummy. There is a problem, a slight problem with this mummy. Two photos of the supposed mummy of Ramesses II at different lighting levels. The albino often produced photos of Ramesses II as evidence that the ancient Egyptians were not black people. Now notice what appears to be his blonde or ginger hair. That one. You see that blonde or ginger hair. The fact is that Ramesses II died when he was about 90 years old. There is no 90-year-old who has blonde or ginger hair or anything like it. 90-year-olds have white hair and only white hair. The hair color is most certainly the result of henna use. We will show you what changes that. There is a proper image now. This is Ramesses. This is the original and the true father of Ramesses, the mummy of Set I, who was the father of Ramesses II. Set is Setu or Setule. This is Ramesses. They look the same. You see that? They are the same people. There is no difference. They are the same. No changes. Another trick using black and white photographs as opposed to color pictures to convince us that the ancient Egyptians were white. A favored of these purpose is Yuya, father of Queen Tuya. But as we can clearly see from the color photograph, Yuya's skin, to borrow a phrase, is packed with melanin, and the bull lips and the blunt nose and bull lips and blunt nose, but now it has been changed. Supposed the mummy of Yuya at Cairo Museum, Egypt, father of T11, 1398 to that, who was the wife of Amenhotep III, the mother of Akhenaton and grandmother of Tutankhamen. But these are black people. The grandmother is black people. So you can find the study, which is located here on this website, that is given to demonstrate packed with melanin. We go again. Please notice that Queen Tie here statue shows a strong wide chin. See, this is a strong wide chin. But the mummy, supposed mummy of Queen Tie, look, it is pointed. Of course, the hair is now henna, is now peppered with the hair and is curly. Whereas the mummy shows a narrow chin, pointed nose, this one shows a wide nose. And now here is more. The wooden statue of Queen Tie, wife of King Amenhotep III. A side view reveals modern file marks from filing down the nose bridge to make it appear narrower. If you look at the sides, they are filing, they filed all this, but of course, the bull lips sells them out. These were black people. So what's this genome? What's this genome thing? Let's look at this genome thing. Ramesses III, second king of the 20th dynasty. Y DNA equals EBA1A. His mitochondrial DNA haplogroup is secret. They have not revealed it. Obviously, we know the answer. There is African, proper, true, straightforward. There is no one who needs to go to invest to see that. So we know that the Y DNA haplogroup predominates in most sub-Saharan Africans. So this is where they come. So all this DNA that we have been told is fact, is something else. There is another mummy of Tutmosis the second. Now we go further. Here is Tutmosis the third. He is an African. And there is Ramesses the fifth, who ruled only for 5 years. He died in his early 30s, and possibly reason for his premature death is evident on his mummy, which is scared on the face, neck, and chest with smallpox. But he is Africoid. There is no way. The mummy speak. Here is henna here. Now we see that this is Lady Ray. This is an African, and she was in the 18th dynasty. And this is Nestanga Beshura. This is, you see, the hair is mixed because they used these henna chemicals. Now, why wavy blonde hair in mummies? Because most of the mummies are fake. They are from a wrong dynasty, or from a favored dynasty, or selective dynasty, modern dynasty. It's not from ancient dynasty. Ancient Egyptians also loved fashion. They used the henna to dye their hair. Henna is extracted from a plant. It gives a reddish brown, dark maroon color on hands and dark maroon color on the black hair. It will look good on jet black hair provided you do not have any white hairs. It makes hair thicker as it coats our hair and also moisturizes it. Curly hair will lose a bit of their curls and wavy hair becomes a bit straight. There it is the answer. You can see there the henna there. So if they use the henna hair in mummies, that's the answer given straightforward. Our geniuses had already won a UNESCO debate on racial identity of ancient Egyptians. UNESCO, the peopling of ancient Egypt and deciphering of Meroitic script, January 28 to February 3rd, 1974, Paris, UNESCO. The conclusion of the official UNESCO report indicates the triumph of Sheikh Anta Diop and his colleague Theophile Obenga. It stated, although the preparatory work paper sent out by UNESCO gave particulars of what was desired, not all participants had prepared communications comparable with painstakingly researched contribution of Professor Sheikh Anta Diop and Theophile Obenga. They are saying they were beaten, all European Egyptologists and all sympathetic ones from Asia and Africa were beaten hands down by Professor Sheikh Anta Diop. There is the proof, we won. From there on, they've tried to deny this. And at this symposium, Sheikh Anta Diop was denied to use mummies to prove his melanin dosage test, which has been used now everywhere in forensics. In the presence of the world, they refused. And later on, the mummies that he wanted to use vanished. And the most mummies used to now are from the Greco-Roman times. Don't worry about that gymnastics that tries to prove a wrong point. Let us look at genetic nonsense of white genes, manipulation of facts to suit lies and prejudices. We are going to be a little bit technical here. Genetics and ancient Egyptian mummies, genes point to increased sub-Saharan African ancestry in post-Roman periods, implying modern Negroid moving up north, which is a lie. That statement is a lie. You can see this paper, which was presented by various scholars. You can see these scholars have no time to read them. It says Egypt, located in the isthmus of Africa, is in Africa. It's not in Europe or Asia. It's in Africa. Africa covered the whole of Africa present, so-called Middle East, India, and part of China, Japan. All those were Africa. It goes on to say that, particularly in the first millennium BCE, Egypt endured foreign domination, leading to growing numbers of foreigners. You see, coming outside of Africa. Then it says, here were present 90 mitochondrial genomes as well as genome-wide data sets from 3 individuals obtained from Egyptian mummies. Only 3. Why 3? Selective genetical analysis. By directly studying ancient DNA from ancient Egyptians, we can test previously hypotheses drawn from analyzing modern DNA, Egyptian DNA, such as recent admixture from population with sub-Saharan and non-African ancestry, attributed to trans-Saharan slave trade and Islamic expansion, respectively. On a more local scale, we aim to study changes and continuities in the genetic makeup of the ancient inhabitants of Abu Mekri. Since all sampled remains derived from this community in Middle Egypt and been radiocarbon dated to the late kingdom to the Roman times, in particular, we seek to determine if the inhabitants of this settlement were affected at the genetic level by foreign conquest and domination, especially during the Ptolemaic. It's obvious they were. You don't need to go to school to know that. Pictures have shown you that. Artifacts have shown you that. From the above, we immediately see that these scientists or Egyptologists have gone directly to the typical claim that all blacks found outside sub-Saharan Africa were there or are there due to slave trade, which is a lie, which is wrong. This is obviously a lie and has been disproved. Any facts have been proved by their DNA. A 2012 study done on the mummified remains of Pharaoh Ramesses III, the last great pharaoh of ancient Egypt, determined that his Y chromosomes belonged to the haplogroup E1B1A, the most frequently haplogroup among contemporary sub-Saharan Africa. There it is, another DNA. Spencer Wells, genetic anthropologist, on the first great migration genetic tree from the book The Journey of Man, A Genetic Odyssey by Spencer Wells, page 39. This is critical and important. I'm going to read it, all of it. Genetic data corroborates the mitochondrial results, placing the root of the human tree, our most recent common ancestor in Africa within the past few 100,000 years. Consistent with the result, all the genetic data shows the greatest number polymorphisms in Africa. There is simply far more variations in that continent, Africa, than anywhere else. You are more likely to sample extremely divergent genetic lineages within a single African village than you are in the whole of the rest of the world. The majority of the genetic polymorphisms found in our species are found uniquely in Africans. Europeans, Asians, and Native Americans carry only a small sample of the extraordinary diversity that can be found in any African village. Therefore, that's why we say an African is original, an African is the creator, an African is divine. That's what we're saying. That's what he's saying. Now, modern Egyptians have marked increase of African mitochondrial DNA. 80% have non-African ancestry for obvious reasons. Why? Because that implies that the ancient Egyptians were not from sub-Saharan Africa. True. Then where do most modern North Africans and the so-called Middle Easterners come from? They are mulattoes of Turkish origins, Mamelukes. Most are of native blacks and Turks who conquered or were used to control, lead, maintain the Ottoman Empire. But where did these Turks come from? You can see this is Turkey and Konya and Ankara. There is more that I shall say about Turkey here. This is the Ottoman Empire. Now, these are Turkish mulattoes found in Egypt today. You see that they are mixed. Now, the main vassal countries of the Ottoman Empire in alphabetical order were Albania, Algeria, Armenia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Egypt, Eritrea, Greece, Hungary, Iraq, Kosovo, Libya, Macedonia, Montenegro, Mount of the Negro, Serbia, Syria, Tunisia, Ukraine, and all these were African countries. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, you can read about the Turkish people, and you can see this from this website that is given. These are original the current Egyptians. You can see they are mulattoes. There is no way about that. Turkic people and related groups migrated west from Turkestan and what is now Mongolia towards Eastern Europe, Iranian plateau, and Anatolia and modern Turkey in many waves. They also participated in crusades. Turkey is a member of NATO for a reason. Of course, Turks are in no way native to Anatolia. Original black inhabitants of Anatolia had a very rich and old history. Many of their artifacts indicate that Anatolia was one of the oldest centers of civilization because we are the Africans. From Wikipedia, again, the free encyclopedia. Around 1 BCE, some 2020 years ago, Egypt was still ruled by Greco-Romans. Other parts in Northeast Africa were ruled by the Sasanian Persians. By the 10th century, Islamic sources were calling the Muslim as opposed to shamanist or Christian or Guz, the Turkmens. By the 12th century, this term had passed into Byzantine usage and the Oghuz were overwhelmingly Muslim or Islamic. The Oghuz Confederation migrated westward from the Jetusi area, Central Asia, Mongols, after a conflict with the Kaluk branch of Uyghurs. The founders of Ottoman Empire were descendants of the Oghuz. Today, the residents of Turkey, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Khorasan, Turkmens of Afghanistan, Balkans, Iraq, Syria are descendants of Oghuz. Turks, they are not indigenous in Middle East. They are not indigenous in these parts. And their language belongs to the Oghuz group of Turkic languages family. Many residents of Arabia and countries of Arabia, Egypt, Lebanon, Israel, Jews from Gaza are Turks and are related to this branch. You can see that the Mongols, this is the problem, Mongol mulattoes. And you can see why the Turkish flag is red. The red and white colors on the flag of Turkey represent the southwestern branch of Turks called the Oghuzes. They are included in being named the founders of Turkey along with Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, and Gagauzia. So you see where these people come from, but originally a black civilization dominated Turkey. You can see this Katal or Yuk wall painting of a hunter wearing a leopard skin. And this hunter is an African. You can see Anatolia, now Turkey, the mortuary stele of Katumua, an official of King Panamua II of Samara. This stele dated 735 BCE was discovered by a Nobel expedition in 2008. So you can see he is an African. You can see his nose, blunt nose, thick lips, and our special type of beards. You can see Wapalo's close up. He is an African. You can see his nose. There you can see a memorial core of legendary King Midas or Maidasu, draped a bust of King Midas wearing a Phrygian. You can see there he is an African. Is in Turkey. And lastly, here is more proof that the mummies are lie. The ones brought to us by Euro-Gentiles or Egyptologists, and DNA is also forged. This is here shown a pure blood Egyptian, pure bred Egyptian. You can see him. He looks like me. He looks like any African. Just like the people depicted on the tomb, on the walls from 3,000 years ago. Clearly, there is a genetic continuity. Him, the real one, and these ancient ancestors, our ancient ancestors. Thank you. Here is what you can do from today. You should activate this knowledge. Activate this history. How do you do that? You do this activation, this and any other Africanic knowledge by sharing. The minute you share it and speak it, you are waking up the ancestors. Teach your child and every child about African heroes. Discover your great ancestral tree. Arrange talks with your living and dead ancestors. Subscribe to Hamiti Hebrew Ethics. Share with others and tell others this truth. Thank you. Goodbye.